Hey, this is Steve at 10 Volt in Ottawa, Canada. It's minus 30 Celsius today with the wind chill, so I figured it would be a good day to install this B-Bender that I liberated from a friend of mine. It's an older model B-Bender, so it's got the 4 screw holes on the top, which means 4 screw holes in the top of the guitar. So instead of using those holes, it's got one back here for the screw or for the strap peg. And the newer model B-Benders have 2 screw holes, 2 holes here and here, so here and here for screws to stabilize it. So I've already drilled this hole, and I'm going to drill a second hole here, so that I've got the option of adding those 2 screws into the back of the guitar where they're a little less obtrusive. This is the B-Bender, so this is going to go on the top of the guitar, and this is the Hipshot. And the Hipshot comes from the fact that you're pressing this bar with your hip. So the guitar is going to be here, going this way. This lever is going to be up against you, and just by moving the guitar a little bit, that gives you the B-Bender action. The B string feeds through this little hole here, comes underneath, comes under this tensioner here to keep it down, and then goes over the saddle and to the machine head as usual. So for starters, I'm going to, I'll take this out because we don't need it right now. It just attaches in there. Most people aren't going to need to do this, but I'm going to drill a second hole in the back of it here, so that I've got 2 holes that I can put screws in to stabilize it if I need to after it's installed. Do that here. Alright, so now I've got 2 holes, not perfectly spaced, but what the heck, doesn't really matter. They're not going to be visible, they're going to be on the end of the guitar. So, now the guitar. The guitar we've got here is a Fender Muddy Waters edition Tele. It's got the Muddy Waters signature on here, you can see that. It's made in Mexico. Nothing too special, but it's a good solid workhorse Tele, and since you're going to have to drill some holes in the body, you don't want anything that's super valuable. This guitar's got a couple of scuffs in it, so for starters, strap peg out. It's right there. Alright, taking the strap peg out, no big deal. I actually have strap lock pegs on here. Hopefully that won't make a difference, although the B-Bender comes with this big, well, I liberated this one from a friend of mine. It came with this big screw. I'm not going to be able to use this screw, so I'll have to use the one that I had on there. And if it gives me any issues, then I'll just go to the hardware store and get a longer screw. Alright, so the B-Bender is going to go on here like this. So you can see here how it sits on top of the guitar. The B string, which is this one, instead of ending here, is going to go through the back of the pickup plate here, which is the other destructive thing we have to do, because we're going to actually have to drill a hole in the back of this plate for the string to go through. If you have the Tele, some Teles have just a flat plate here instead of this ashtray one. If you have a flat plate, then you're all set, because the string can just go over the saddle and keep going. But with this guitar and a lot of Teles, you have to drill a hole in the back of the plate here beside the screw, so that the string can keep going in a straight line over the bridge. And the B-Bender itself comes with this little Teflon tube, so the string is going to go, the Teflon tube is going to go in the hole, and the string is going to go through this Teflon so that it doesn't rub against the metal here, because if it's rubbing against the metal, your string would end up breaking on you. So, yeah, the next thing we have to do then is drill the hole in here. So for this, I got my high-tech device here. This Captain Crunch cereal box, just to protect the finish of the guitar, because the person I got the B-Bender from told me that he dinged his guitar trying to drill the hole through that plate. I'd have to take that plate off. That's probably the right way to do it. Alright, for starters, take the strings off the guitar. Some new strings anyway. I just loosen the tension up on these and then cut them. Some people might tell you that you shouldn't change all the strings at once, which is not necessarily a bad idea. If you change one string at a time, then you keep the tension on the neck a little more constant. But for our purposes here, you need to take them all off, so sometimes that's what you have to do. I'm going to take this plate off. Those screws for protective cardboard box. Alright, these 3 screws here are just the pickup height adjustment. So I don't need to do anything with those. There's 4 screws across the back here that hold this plate on. Unfortunately, the saddles here are in the way. So I'm going to have to move them, which is going to mess up the intonation on the guitar. What can you do? As we don't blow 2 strings. These screws out. For them. Alright, this plate lifts up. Pickup isn't attached. You want to undo these 3 screws so that the pickup isn't attached so that you can get this thing free. Alright, so here's the plate. We need to get a hole right here for that B string to pass through to the B-bender, which is a little bit tricky. I'm actually going to take the saddle off completely. Got a flat surface to drill into. Intonation will be extra special. Spring screw. Alright, so we need to drill a hole just above this mark here, whereas I already started drilling. It's a 7/64 drill bit per the instructions on the Hipshot website. Alright, so there we've got a hole here beside the screw hole for the Teflon tube to go in. Alright, so now we've got our hole drilled through here. Here's the Teflon tube that comes with the B-bender. Fits through the hole, so that's good. We don't need it until we are going to string up the guitar, but it's good to know that it fits. So now we just have to put the bridge back on. It's just the opposite of what we did before. This back on. Danger with using an electric screwdriver for this kind of stuff is if it's got a lot of torque, you can end up shredding the wood, so when you're putting screws back in, it doesn't hurt to do it by hand. So you can feel when the screws start resisting, and if they are going to strip, then you can stop. We obviously want these screws to be nice and tight because they are the basis of the stability of the tuning of the instrument. Alright, so that's back on. B-bender itself is now going to go on here. Take our strap peg, put it back on. Hopefully the screw will hold. One trick if you have a loose screw like this is to take the screw out, throw a couple of toothpicks in there, break them off at the top of the hole, put your screws back in. Gives it a little extra wood to grip onto. And here we want to make sure that the plate of the B-bender itself is sitting flat on the surface of the guitar before we tighten the screw. The flatter and more solid it is, the less it's going to wobble around when we're using the hip lever. That's pretty tight in there. I've got those 2 extra holes I can use to make it more stable. So there we go. So I'm going to string it up again and we'll see how it sounds. As far as the stringing goes, everything's normal except the B string, so I'll show you that. So there's a hole in the back of the B-bender lever here. The string goes through there, pops out the front here. You put your Teflon tube on there, and then the string goes through that new hole that we created, which is here, and then up over the saddle. And you make sure that Teflon tube gets in that hole. Pull the string through, and you're supposed to lube up the string at the point where it goes over the saddle with lithium grease. I'll do that. So here you've got the string coming through here, and when you press the lever it's going to give the string a little bit more tension and it's going to raise it, and this set screw here is what you use to tune. So by screwing the screw down, then you're going to lessen the amount that the lever moves, and by screwing the screw up, you increase the amount of play. Therefore, your note is going to end up being higher when you hit the lever. So yeah, that's it. I'll put the rest of the strings on. See how it sounds. Alright, so here we've got the guitar set up, tuned up close enough maybe. So the Hipshot part was on the side here, this thing, and that's what's raising your B string when you press it against your hip, hence the name Hipshot. So just to give you an idea of what it's doing, so I'm just playing just the B string, and here it is with the B-bender. So that's all it does, is it raises your B string up to a C sharp note. It's raising it up a whole tone. And I don't really know how to use it because this is the first time I've ever played it and I'm going to have to learn. But just to give you some examples, if you do, say, an A-shaped bar chord, normally it sounds like this. But if you drop the second string down 2 frets, so you have something like this, then you can use the B-bender to raise that second string up to the normal note, and it gives you that pedal steel kind of effect like this. And you can do things like 2-string licks like this kind of. That's pretty much all I know at this point. So that's it. B-bender installed on a Fender Mighty Waters Telecaster. If you search on YouTube, I'm sure you'll find lots of examples of people who actually know how to play with a B-bender, and it'll give you a better idea of what it's capable of. That is all for today. Thanks a lot.